Hello everyone, I welcome you to the Breaking Science channel. Hey there, are you ready for some space and science fun? Well, buckle up because I've got some interesting news to share. So, you know how SpaceX is launching all those Starlink satellites into space, right? Well, some people are worried that these satellites might ruin their stargazing fun. That's where the National Science Foundation comes in. They've teamed up with SpaceX to make sure these satellites don't mess with all the stargazing going on down here on Earth. National Science Foundation helps fund a bunch of big observatories, and they made a deal with SpaceX called the Astronomy Coordination Agreement. Basically, they're working together to make sure the Starlink satellites don't get in the way of all the space observing happening up in the sky. SpaceX agreed to make their satellites dimmer, so they won't be as bright and won't mess with sensitive space observing instruments. They also promised to turn off the signals they send out when they fly over major radio observatories. That way, the signals won't interfere with all the important space listening going on. But that's not all. SpaceX also agreed to take their satellites out of a database that astronomers use to make sure they don't accidentally shine their laser pointers on the satellites. This way, the astronomers won't have to turn off their laser pointers as much, and they can keep observing the stars. This agreement was all part of the deal that SpaceX made with the Federal Communications Commission when they got their license to launch the Starlink satellites. But the agreement is voluntary, which means that SpaceX did it because they wanted to, not because they had to. Now, some people are still worried about these satellites messing with their stargazing. One group, called the International Dark Sky Association, is so worried that they're taking the FCC to court. They're worried that the FCC didn't follow the right rules when they gave SpaceX their license, and they're trying to stop the Starlink satellites from launching. IDA argues that these satellites will make the night sky less dark and bright, which will ruin people's stargazing fun. They also say that the FCC didn't follow a big environmental rule called the National Environmental Policy Act when they gave SpaceX their license. But not everyone thinks that the Starlink satellites will be a problem. Some people think that the agreement between NSF and SpaceX is enough to make sure everything is okay. Either way, it's going to be an interesting space show to watch and see what happens. Thank you very much for watching. Support the channel with a like and share the news with your friends. See you soon.